The moment the announcement came out of Tehran, the atmosphere across the Middle East shifted in a way that felt immediate and unmistakable. Iran declared that it had launched a powerful missile strike against one of the most critical American military installations in the region, the vast and strategically indispensable Udeid Air Base in Qatar. And not just any installation, not a remote outpost or a lightly defended facility, but the central hub of American air operations across the Middle East. Within minutes, Iranian state media was calling it a major military success. The language was confident, declarative, unmistakably triumphant. Missiles had been launched. Targets had been hit. Damage, they claimed, was heavy. Now, when you hear a claim like that, when you hear that one of the largest American military bases outside the United States has been struck by Iranian missiles, your mind immediately begins to calculate the implications. Because Al-Udeid is not symbolic, it is operational. It is the nerve center for U.S. air power in the Gulf. It is where surveillance missions are coordinated, where fighter jets are dispatched, where refueling tankers launch, where intelligence flows in and decisions flow out. It is, quite literally, the brainstem of American military presence in the region. Iranian officials frame the strike as part of a broader retaliation campaign amid escalating confrontation involving Iran, the United States, and Israel. According to statements from the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, precision-guided missiles were launched in a coordinated operation designed to strike critical military infrastructure. Iranian television anchors spoke of operational sections of the base being hit. Commentators described logistical facilities suffering significant damage. Military spokesmen emphasized that the missiles had bypassed defensive systems, portraying the operation as proof that American installations in the Gulf are vulnerable. The messaging was layered and deliberate. Strategically, the strike was described as an effort to disrupt American operations. Symbolically, it was presented as a demonstration of reach, capability, and resolve. The underlying message from Tehran was clear. If conflict escalates, U.S. bases in the region are within range. To understand why that matters, you have to appreciate what Al-Udeid represents. Located southwest of Doha, Qatar, the base hosts thousands of U.S. service members. It serves as the forward headquarters for U.S. Central Command's air component. From this single installation, missions are coordinated across multiple theaters. It is equipped with advanced command and control centers, hardened shelters, runways capable of supporting heavy aircraft, and an intricate network of communications infrastructure. It is designed to project power, manage crises, and sustain operations across vast distances. And because of that importance, it has long been seen as a potential target in any full-scale confrontation with Iran. Iranian military leaders have, for years, publicly stated that American bases across the Gulf fall within the range of Iranian missile forces. That was not idle rhetoric. It was strategic signaling. But until now, it had largely remained theoretical. A threat discussed in think tanks and war games, not tested in real time. So when Iranian outlets reported that multiple missiles had been launched toward Al-Udeid, and that several had successfully reached their targets, the reaction was swift. Regional governments went on alert. Analysts scrambled to verify details. News networks flashed breaking banners. Energy markets began to twitch. Because an attack on Al-Udeid is not contained. It radiates outward. For several hours, uncertainty dominated the global conversation. And then the United States began to respond. American defense officials confirmed that missiles had indeed been launched toward the base. That acknowledgement alone signaled the seriousness of the event. But the U.S. description diverged sharply from the Iranian narrative. According to Pentagon sources, defensive systems around the base intercepted multiple incoming missiles. Some debris reportedly fell within the perimeter. There may have been limited damage from fragments or near impacts. But the core facilities, U.S., officials said, remained intact. The base, they emphasized, was still operational. That word operational became central to the American response. Because operational means the command centers are functioning. The runways are usable. Aircraft can take off and land. Communications are intact. Operational means that whatever the intent of the strike, it did not achieve catastrophic disruption. And so almost immediately, the world was presented with two competing narratives. On one side, Iran describing a powerful, successful blow against a Central American military hub. On the other, the United States asserting that while missiles were launched, the damage was limited and defenses worked as designed. This is not unusual in moments of conflict. Information becomes part of the battlefield. perception becomes strategic terrain. Iran benefits from projecting strength, demonstrating deterrence, showing domestic and regional audiences that it can retaliate forcefully. The United States benefits from reassuring allies, maintaining confidence in its missile defense systems, and signaling that its military posture remains intact. But beneath the narrative contest lies an undeniable fact. The strike itself marks a significant escalation. Targeting Al Udeid crosses a threshold. It moves the confrontation from proxy engagements and indirect signaling into the realm of direct strikes on major installations. Military planners will now dissect every aspect of this event. How were the missiles launched? From where? What trajectory did they follow? Which defensive systems engaged them? How quickly were threats detected? Did any reach hardened infrastructure? These are not academic questions. They are operational lessons. The Gulf region hosts numerous American facilities. From naval installations to air bases to logistics hubs, the U.S. footprint is extensive. The security of these bases is a central pillar of American strategy in the Middle East. Any demonstrated vulnerability, even limited forces reassessment. And then there is Qatar. The host nation of Al Udeid suddenly finds itself at the epicenter of an escalating confrontation. Qatar has long balanced complex regional relationships, maintaining ties across rival blocs. Hosting the largest American base in the region has provided security guarantees, but also potential exposure. Now that exposure feels tangible. Energy markets, already sensitive to regional tensions, reacted with visible anxiety. The Gulf is the heart of global oil and liquefied natural gas production. Even if physical damage to the base was limited, the symbolic act of missile strikes in Qatar carries implications for investor confidence and shipping security. Traders price in risk. And when missiles fly across the Gulf, risk premiums rise. Some experts warn that incidents like this can spiral. Retaliation invites counter-retaliation. Signaling can be misread. A defensive interception can be interpreted as aggression. History offers cautionary examples of how quickly localized strikes can expand into broader conflict. Others argue that both sides may be calibrating carefully, that Iran sought to demonstrate capability without triggering massive casualties, that the United States, in emphasizing limited damage, is signaling restraint while maintaining deterrence. In this interpretation, the strike becomes a controlled escalation, intense but contained. But containment requires discipline. It requires communication channels, even indirect ones. It requires leaders willing to absorb domestic pressure without overreacting. And that is never guaranteed in moments charged with national pride and strategic rivalry. The role of missile technology in this confrontation is also significant. Precision missile systems have transformed modern conflict. They allow states to project force across long distances without deploying aircraft into hostile airspace. For countries like Iran, investing in missile capabilities has been a strategic equalizer. It allows them to threaten high-value targets despite disparities in conventional air power. For the United States and its allies, this reality has driven enormous investment in missile defense systems, radars, interceptors, layered shields designed to detect and neutralize incoming threats. The events surrounding Al Udeid will likely be studied extensively by defense analysts, evaluating how those systems performed under real-world conditions. International diplomatic pressure is building. Major powers are urging de-escalation. Behind closed doors, conversations are almost certainly underway aimed at preventing further strikes, because a widening conflict in the Gulf would not remain regional for long. It would touch energy flows, global markets, alliance structures. For now, according to U.S. officials, Al Udeid remains operational. Aircraft continue to move. Personnel remain in place. The base's core mission continues. Iran, meanwhile, continues to assert that the strike demonstrated its ability to hit critical American targets despite advanced defenses. Between those two claims lies a complex reality that will unfold in the days ahead. Satellite imagery will be analyzed. Independent assessments will emerge. Governments will recalibrate posture. Military readiness levels may remain elevated. What is clear is that this moment will be remembered, because when missiles are launched at one of the most important American military hubs in the Middle East, it signals that the confrontation has entered a new and more dangerous phase. The world now watches for what comes next. Will there be further strikes? Will there be diplomatic breakthroughs? Will this become a contained demonstration of force, or the opening chapter of a broader confrontation? In crisis moments like this, The difference between escalation and stabilization often hinges on decisions made quietly, behind the scenes. But the visible facts remain stark. Missiles were launched. A major base was targeted. Competing narratives are shaping perception. And a region already on edge has been pushed closer to the brink. As more information emerges, analysts, governments, and citizens alike will continue to parse every detail. Because in a region as strategically vital as the Gulf, even a limited strike can alter calculations. And in an interconnected world, those altered calculations can reverberate far beyond a single runway in Qatar. The aftermath of the Udeid strike sent shockwaves that reverberated far beyond Qatar. While the United States worked to reassure allies that its base remained operational, the psychological and strategic impact of the attack was undeniable. Iran had demonstrated, with missiles in the air and official claims on state media, that it could reach the heart of American military infrastructure in the Gulf. For regional governments, the message was clear. No installation, no matter how fortified, was beyond reach. Military planners across the region began reassessing defense protocols, force deployments, and contingency plans. In Washington, intelligence briefings ran around the clock. Senior officials scrambled to understand the full scope of Iran's missile capabilities, potential follow-up strikes, and the broader implications for American troops stationed in the Middle East. Command centers reevaluated risk assessments for all bases from Bahrain to Kuwait, knowing that Al Udeid was only one node in a vast network of strategic targets. Meanwhile, global energy markets reacted almost instantaneously. Even with no confirmed catastrophic damage, the mere fact that a major U.S. hub had been struck sent oil futures surging. Traders factored in potential disruptions to air operations, logistical chains, and geopolitical stability, driving prices upward and injecting volatility into already tense markets. Civilian populations in the Gulf felt the tension as sirens and alerts became part of daily life, a stark reminder that regional conflict was no longer an abstract threat. Iran, on its part, framed the operation as a strategic success and a warning. Any aggression against its sovereignty or leadership would be met with decisive retaliation. Officials emphasized that missile capabilities were only one aspect of their deterrence, leaving allies and adversaries alike to contemplate the broader implications for regional security. The strike also prompted urgent diplomatic activity. World powers convened emergency consultations, pressing both Tehran and Washington to de-escalate while evaluating potential consequences for wider Middle Eastern stability. The reality was that the line between tactical strikes and regional war had grown perilously thin. Analysts warned that the attack, regardless of the actual damage inflicted, could catalyze cycles of retaliation, pulling multiple actors into an escalating conflict with unpredictable outcome. In the days following the Al Udeid strike, both military and civilian observers recognized that the event marked a turning point. It was not just about missiles hitting a base. It was about demonstrating reach, testing defenses, and reshaping strategic calculations. For the U.S., it underscored vulnerabilities even in fortified installations. For Iran, it was a demonstration of capability and resolve. For the international community, it was a stark warning that the Gulf region remained one of the most volatile theaters of modern geopolitics. And as the dust settled over Al Udeid, the world remained on edge. Military forces stayed alert, diplomatic channels worked feverishly, and energy markets braced for further shock. The strike had shifted the landscape, and the next moves by either side could define not only the trajectory of U.S.-Iran tensions, but the broader stability of the Middle East. In the end, the Al Udeid missile attack would be remembered not merely as a tactical event, but as a strategic signal. The balance of power in the Gulf had been tested, and the reverberations were just beginning. Stay tuned for ongoing updates as this story continues to unfold in real time, because the situation in the Gulf is fluid, consequential, and has the potential to reshape regional security for years to come.